What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 4. We are in the Division 1-2 playoffs to determine who's going to have a chance at staying in Division 1, who's going to be secured in Division 2 for the upcoming season. This is the lower bracket, so whoever loses this is guaranteed, I believe, Division 2, and whoever wins can still win and get into Division 1. It's the best of 3 between the Power Rangers and Fab 5. Here on HeflaTV 1, we're going to bring you the game. I'm Mike Loris. I'm joined by Blackadder. Hope you had a good holidays, man. You ready to do this?
Good holidays. Me being the incarnation of evil of HeflaTV, I've got to say bah humbug to this, but yeah, I'm good for this. This should be a good game. I actually know one or two of these players personally, so we're in for a laugh.
Yeah, and you wouldn't really expect Power Rangers to actually be in the bottom part of this bracket. They got knocked down pretty early by Vega, in fact, in the first round, so it's going to be a uphill climb for them. Fab 5, they are actually pretty impressive every single time I see them. Not, hugely so, but they don't do a terrible job at performing. So I'm expecting some pretty good things from both these teams, especially when you second pick a Zeus.
Yeah, I'm looking for burst fight, and that's exactly what we're looking for with the Zeus and Vengeful Spirit. But what you were saying about you didn't expect Power Rangers of all teams to be in the elimination of Division 1 potentially. It doesn't surprise me because the competition in Division 1 this season has been fierce. You mentioned Vega they took a loss to. Vega took a game off VP Polar not long ago. That is a team to keep an eye on. I mean, the competition is pretty damn fierce in Division 1, and, well, next season should be even bigger.
Yeah, gotta have some people take the bullet and go down to the lower bracket, and Vega's certainly no slouches. I don't want to say that they're bad or anything. They are more than capable as a team, but we'll see Power Rangers can dig their way back up because they are going to open up with Puck and a Dazzle, rather defensive heroes, or heroes that can be played pretty defensively, as Puck is very difficult to get a hold of, and Dazzle can make it even more difficult to get a hold onto that Puck. We see a Huskar ban coming up. I haven't really been paying that much attention to the happenings of Dota over the past couple of days. I'm not too sure if Huskar's been seeing a huge rise in power, but hey, I might have missed something.
It's more the threat that he can provide, especially when you mix in the negative armor of a Dazzle, and then maybe, say, a Shadow Demon pickup. So just Dazzle, Shadow Demon, very powerful. Amplification plus Huskar, it's ridiculous. It's not a pleasant combination. I can understand the ban coming from Fab 5 here.
Yeah, it does make sense in this. It would be pretty good against Zeus and Vengeful Spirit as well. Zeus especially heavy magic damage, and he doesn't really like it when people are right in his face. We have Anti-Mage, Viper, and Legion Commander all also getting the boot out, probably just on sheer power level alone. Doesn't seem like there's too many huge synergies there, but Fab 5, they're going to grab the Terrorblade as their third pick, so that they're going to have a little bit more late game power, even though he has been recently nerfed. So I don't think I've actually seen the new Terrorblade with the nerfed illusions. They still do a hell of a lot to heroes, but you just have to decrease the rattening of your hero a little bit.
The rattening?
Yes.
Make it sound like an evil apocalypse is about to dawn. Then again,
well, let's be honest, ratting is pretty evil.
Yeah, I don't exactly like rats. I mean, I have a certain hatred for Nature's Prophet among other heroes, but after the nerf Terrorblade, I think he's still got to find his footing, personally, as a hero. I haven't personally seen it much either, compared to before the patch, where it would be every other game, or at least banned every game. Here, I'm unsure, because I'm right now looking at this Fab 5 draft, and I see Avenge, a Zeus, Terrorblade, and a Disruptor. Sure, blue strat, everyone can joke, but all very squishy, all very susceptible to, say, negative armor, except the Terrorblade, or stealing strength. Hello, Undying, the Dirge has risen.
That's another way of punishing very, very soft heroes. All these heroes are, I mean, with the exception of Terrorblade, who does get a lot of armor to survive, are just going to be free reign for the Undying to just do whatever the hell he wants, and you get a little bit of extra synergy with Undying if you're going up against strength heroes. They do less damage, does more damage, whatever. But up against these really soft heroes, you wouldn't really expect a team going for Io Dazzle to suddenly pull out an Undying, as usually Io Dazzle are going to be those two support heroes, but Undying played as a core role, or slightly more core role than the other two, and you get quite a bit done if you're the Power Rangers. And with the Io potential partners, really any of those partners end up doing a lot of damage. Whether you grab the PA or the Tiny, or you grab a Bristleback or a Juggernaut, anyone could really make use of that additional chaos that Undying provides.
Yeah, the Undying in this case is going to be most likely an offlane Undying. I'm thinking, considering what they're against, they're going to want, in order of importance, Arcanes, because Undying's mana pool isn't exactly brilliant, into a hood, if not a full pipe. That's going to be one of the most important items against this team. Then even maybe into a Crimson Guard. Undying will be picking up those utility items. Since he doesn't really need much in terms of core, maybe a Shiva's Guard would be a later game prevalence for him, but if he comes in and just starts spamming spells, it's over, especially if they fight under the Tombstone. And that's the worst thing you can do with the Undying, fight under a Tombstone.
And especially if Power Rangers have any sort of magic resistance from a pipe or something like that, which would just cripple the Fabulous Five lineup so hard. Power Rangers do need one more hero in order to maybe get a little bit of late game, although it does seem like they're more all in on the early stages. Fab 5, they need someone who could fight early. They need someone who could actually stand his ground up against Undying. The pool of heroes that could do that, very, very slim. So good luck to Fab 5 finding that perfect hero in that regard. But Power Rangers are very low on crowd control, so maybe they want to abuse that fact.
Low on crowd control, I would agree to, with the exception of the Dream Coil. Now, to go against the Undying for Fab 5, there are a few heroes that do spring to mind that can kill him pretty damn quick. However,
5 seconds remaining.
When you have a lineup that already includes a Disruptor, Zeus, and Venge, what do you go with? Because you're looking for an offlane in this kind of scenario, and I can't think of an offlane hero that can survive versus an Undying, really. So they could go with the idea of, okay, we'll play around the Undying, and then pick off the Io, Dazzle, and Puck. And Io's a very easy target to kill with 0 armor. So could this possibly be a Bounty Hunter, considering all of the buffs to him?
Well, Bounty Hunter with Zeus is actually pretty legit, and just having Track and Glimpse on your same team is going to be insane also. Bristleback is a hero that I was considering, but after what I've seen of Bristleback versus Undying matchups, it just doesn't go well for Bristleback. It does act as another pseudo-ban. Power Rangers can't grab the Bristle for themselves, which actually would have been pretty sweet on the Power Ranger side, especially when you combine that with an aggressive weave, if you somehow manage to land that. But this is a hero that can, in theory, fight early on, so I think Fab 5 are on the right track with this hero. I don't know if it's going to go unpunished, however. Power Rangers, they might end up having a lack of damage, though, because Undying Puck, though they do have a lot of early game, they do tend to fall off pretty hard later on.
Yeah, I mean, Undying Puck, early game power, certainly. Late game, you can quite rightly say not so much. So I would consider here something that can have an early impact, yet have a decent mid to late game. And considering they are light on stuns, something with a Blink Dagger that can initiate and do that kind of thing with negative armor would work. There's only one that fits the bill for that. Hello, Slada.
And that would be pretty sweet to see. They could either do that, or they could just go all in on the early game and grab someone like a Jakiro, or grab someone who can push, and just try to use the early game Undying in order to just get right into the Fab 5's base really, really quickly. They could also just go for a Tiny. I mean, that's fine also. It's will be somewhat difficult to deal with. I mean, you're going up against a Disruptor team as an IO team, and that's always going to be rather inconvenient. But as far as getting one more hero that could have early game impact and late game impact, yeah, I like Slardar here, I like Tiny here, or I like just going all in and trying to end the game before 15-20 minutes.
Well, that's not an all-in, but it is something that also capitalizes off the negative armor. Doesn't provide the stun that I was looking for, but Presence of the Dark Lord is quite the nice little buff for all of that negative armor, which Undying's going to love with those Tombstone zombies. So this should be one hell of a matchup. I'm going to enjoy this one, because I don't often get to see a game of Dirge, and, well, I don't know if you know, Mike, but I really do like my Undying.
I could see that. I didn't know that, but, it makes sense now that I do think about it. So, yeah, Undying and Shadow Fiend being played in the same game, it's not too common that we see this. So, as far as synergies between one another, I guess minor synergies, minus armor zombies, but aside from that, Shadow Fiend does excel when he's given a lot of space, and Undying is fantastic at doing that. You drop a Tombstone, and unless the enemies have a lot of physical right-click damage, i.e. Terrorblade, then your enemies are probably just going to turn tail and run, leaving Shadow Fiend to just sit behind and right-click to his heart's content. So we'll see if that works out for Power Rangers, because they're loading out into their lanes. We've got Shotchlo playing the top lane, Puck solo, Ditchira is going to be playing the Shadow Fiend mid, got J4 supporting as the Dazzle and Sonico on the IO, and they're both going to be supporting Cheshire Cat's Undying down on bottom.
This is going to be quite the interesting lane to watch, because I expected it to be an offlane solo Undying. If this is a tri-lane Undying, we're looking for a lot of aggression. But, of course, we should get the formalities out of the way first. For the Fab 5, on the Zeus, we have Keck. Over on the Terrorblade, we've got Tib. followed up, backed up by Ivs, who's going to be playing the Vengeful Spirit, who generally plays all of the supports I've seen. I know the guy. He's aggressive with his supports, so we're looking for big plays coming out of him. We've got Zamj. I can't pronounce that. Zamj on the Disruptor.
I think it's Zmai.
Zmai
Yeah.
sounds about right.
The
Yeah, it's
battle
Zmai.
begins.
We've got Zmai on the Disruptor, and finally on the Bristleback, we do have Villic.
And there is a Zmai that also plays for, or played for, My Insanity, and now I think he manages them. Not the same guy, guys. So there are two Zmais in Dota, and they're going to have to specify that a little bit. But it looks like we are actually going to see a little bit of a lane rotation right from the get-go. Cheshire Cat is going to be solo down in this bottom lane, in fact, going up against the Bristleback. Now, Bristleback matchups 1v1 are usually pretty good for the Bristleback. Cheshire Cat does have the edge, though, of being Undying versus a Strength hero, and Decay gets really out of control. As far as man fighting, it doesn't really work out, but they're actually going to catch Vengeful Spirit in the jungle. Tether slow, plus Poison Touch. This right click from the Dazzle, just by the Dazzle himself, is going to get the kill, and it's going to be Io to draw the first blood. The Vengeful Spirit in the wrong place at the wrong time, and these two heroes not exactly known for their crowd control, but you know what, when you get the additional movement speed from the Tether, you can keep up with the rather slow targets.
And that was some quite beautiful body blocking there, so good play coming out of Power Rangers to start the game. I can see what Ibs was thinking. He was looking to put some aggressive wards into the jungle, but again, you've got to meter that aggression. If you're too aggressive in your positioning, you will get punished, and that is just the start.
Speaking of punish, Cheshire Cat is going ham onto Villic really, really quickly. He does have the magic stick as well, and Villic is taking such a huge beating from this Undying. Just 2 stacks of strength stolen, drop the tombstone level 1, which generally is just food for Villic, but if you land at the right time, you can put some serious damage on. Here comes the Venge, try to provide a little bit of support. They're just trying to bait Cheshire Cat into engaging a little bit further, but this might not work in the way they wanted to. Magic Missile on Cheshire Cat, and Villic's going to try to turn around. Actually has gotten a lot more strength up. Cheshire Cat does have 8 stick charges. He's going to have to use them. Terrorblade is also here, of all people. Cheshire Cat's going to try to man-fight it out versus Villic, but here comes Metamorphosis. You cannot man-fight that. In fact, everyone's here. My god, is there anyone who wasn't invited to the party? Cheshire Cat is going to go down, but Fab5 invests 3 teleportation scrolls in order to get that kill, and 2 minutes in, those teleportation scrolls are expensive.
Yeah, they are, but you know, it's the holidays. Invite everyone.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to, I guess, you could leave Zeus out. Zeus is feeling pretty bad about himself. He didn't get an invitation to that party.
Zeus is a god. He's everywhere. He doesn't need to be at the party. He's already there. In spirit.
Well, I'll buy that at level 6.
Okay, we'll go with that. Looking for aggressive positioning coming out of Power Rangers, we do have Sonico looking to rotate in the back, perhaps. However, Ibs might find this. They could run into each other on the high ground. He's actually looking for the courier snipe as Bristleback dies off to a neutral, so going to be looking to brawl a bit here as, oh, Ibs found him. Sonico, probably just going to run away. I mean, Sonico has the movement speed advantage unless we see a magic missile invested, and there's no follow-up, so it'd be a waste of mana.
Well, the Vengeful Spirit keeps her courier alive, and that was an intentional suicide by the Bristleback. He died to a random centaur. He wasn't trying to creep or anything like that, so nothing too much lost there. Over towards the mid lane, the lane with by far the least action. We got Zeus going up against Shadow Fiend, and well, Shadow Fiend already has a couple of souls. The Shadow Fiend is most of the time just guaranteed farm, and Keck, he will be able to put some serious hurt onto the Shadow Fiend once he gets a couple more levels, but for right now, Dichira is going to be fine. Going to look to the jungle camps eventually, as Shadow Fiend generally does like to get a couple of stacks going on there. 1-2 raise and being able to instantly kill off an entire camp is pretty sweet, but over towards bottom lane, Cheshire Cat is going to get glimpsed back. He's going to drop the tombstone, then just turn things around onto Zmai with so many zombies on him as well. That's going to be the death of the Disruptor instantly. Tib also getting hit really hard by that just because of how much damage Decay does. They're going to try to chase down this Terrorblade. That's not going to happen. Terrorblade is way too fast, but that Disruptor didn't know what hit him.
It wasn't just the Terrorblade. The J4 dropped one hell of a Shadow Wave, which also heals the zombies. Even though they'll die in one hit, they take the healing, which, well, Tib was standing surrounded by zombies. It's a very powerful combination, one that's very, very rarely seen, but if the zombies come down and they surround a person, hell, if the zombies don't kill them, the Shadow Wave will.
Shadow Wave actually does a hell of a lot of damage if you land, 2 hits with the Shadow Wave, then the enemy team is going to be really messed up. So this is 2 heroes, or I mean, the Dazzle isn't really considered an aggressive support hero most of the time. His job is to just get a couple levels, and then eventually he'll be able to play a little bit aggressively with more points Shadow Wave. But when you have such a easy way of creating units in order to get right into the face of the enemy, i.e. Tombstone, this is actually a fairly aggressive dual lane. And up against Tib, I mean, he has a lot of armor, so he will be able to tank through that. Everyone else who's on the bottom lane, not as much. I mean, we already saw the Disruptor get mangled by that. Vengeful Spirit is going to be very easy to kill off with that kind of combo as well. And at a certain point, they can go for Tib. Just, you know, use that physical nuke burst in order to bring him low and then just right-click him down with Decay. But over towards top lane, Villic is actually going to be dove pretty far by ShotShow, taking a lot of hits from the tower, but will be fine to survive, at least going to the jungle. So Nico also is in a little bit of trouble. His Zmai's going to glimpse him right back. Short one for sure, but Nico now is going to die. Thunder God's Wrath actually stealing both those kills. Okay, well, Zmai had that one under control for the IO. I guess they weren't guaranteed that puck kill. That's Zeus hitting level 6, and now Power Rangers do know about that.
Yeah, well, with the Zeus at 6, everything changes quite heavily here. So looking for more fights, we're looking for more kills coming out of Keck. He does have that kill capability. He's going to probably stay here till maybe level 7, at a stretch 8. And then we might start to see some rotations, or at least until he gets his Arcane Boots. The Arcane Boots would be the other nice thing, because then he'll disassemble at a later point into the Bloodstone.
Yeah, he's going to want to help the Terrorblade a little bit, even though Tib's not doing too terribly down in the bottom lane. He is having to deal with this kind of pressure. Cheshire can drop a Tombstone, destroying all of the trees, and now Tib, he does not have level 6 yet, and even if he did, I don't really know if that would help too much. He's going to hit huge with the Shadow Wave. That's the damage we're talking about there. Yet they're giving Tombstone a very wide berth. Dazzle taking a lot of damage from the Zeus, dead teleporting, but now he's surrounded by zombies. Cheshire Cat just laying into him, taking a lot of damage himself, but will get the kill, then survive Shadow Wave. Stick charge is 15 HP. Tib knows exactly where Cheshire Cat is, and they're instead going to go for the Dazzle. Shallow Grave, not really going to help him. Going to fight to the death because why the hell not? Another Shadow Wave, he's got Tib in the corner, but there's no follow-up for this one. Somehow Cheshire Cat manages to limp out of there. Zeus, ultimate cooldown, well, I mean, he's dead, and it's not up for another 10 seconds. That actually might get the kill. Yeah, if he just pops it right now, he'll get the kill. But over towards other lanes, people are dying. Digivog getting a solo on the Venge.
Well, with the Venge falling like that, it's going to be very little we can do. And there's the Thunder Gods you were looking for. It's an aggressive game across all boards. I mean, we're nearly 2 kills a minute, which is the number I love to see. But I'm gonna take us back about a minute and a half. You were saying that the Dazzle is such a defensive support. I find that one an odd one because it is one of the support heroes with one of the most offensive skill sets possible. The slow, the heal that does damage. Sure, Shallow Grave, purely defensive, but the damage capability of both his Q and E, phenomenally large as we get a Dream Call of the top lane onto Villic. We're going to find an attempt onto Villic's life from Sashko, and that'll be an easy cleanup. There's nothing they can really do to stop that. But then again, counter kill possible, Glimpse and Magic Missile. Sonico will possibly take a fall here to that strike from the Disruptor. But ShotShow going to go for the double, maybe even the triple. We'll miss the orb this second, third time, but Ibs, he can't escape this one. One more right click under the tower, and that'll be a triple for Sashlo. But no Thunder Gods to kill him off this time, and he's just going to get the hell out of dodge.
Alright, so Puck collecting huge up on the top lane. He's scared of Thunder God's Wrath randomly phase shifting, but he's still 20 seconds or so until that one is a threat. I think the real difference here between Dazzle's in this particular game and in others is just the ability to surround the enemies. If you're going with like a Dazzle Vengeful Spirit or something like that, yeah, you could put some damage onto them, but actually getting a whole bunch of units for an aggressive Shadow Wave is usually not what happens, or, you know, requires a little bit of setup. Shadow Demon Dazzle lets him play very aggressively, so this is a very swingy hero in that regard, and I can see your point, and him being offensive, especially in this particular game.
There are actually 3 good combinations that I love with the Dazzle when I play it myself for the aggressive Shadow Wave. One of them is with the Shadow Demon, because all of the damage in the world is we get Thunder Gods dropping, looking for a spare kill, but nope, everyone's too high on health. They were looking for the IO, and he's just hobbled away. Completely fine. The second combination, though, is a Dazzle plus a Naga Siren, because you just create illusions, ensnare, surround, heal, they die. They literally explode. Terrorblade, I suppose, could work, but it'll be less common and less effective, I suppose. The last one is, of course, the Undying.
Top lane, Villic is going to get another Dream Coil dropped on him. This time he has a TP scroll, but ShotShow with the phase boots, plus that Ring Basilius, he's doing some pretty serious damage. Speaking of damage, jDL4 is going to get glimpsed back into a whole boatload of it. I don't really know where he's going, but he doesn't have anywhere to run anyway, so he's going to go down. It will be Tib to grab the right click there. Honestly, don't really know what the Dazzle's doing by himself down there. Maybe he had Cheshire Cat right behind him, who decided to TP up top to help with the kill, but Dazzle's not supposed to be out there all alone, so it was a rather free kill for the Fabulous 5 side. Now they're going to instantly smoke up and look towards mid. Ditchira has so far been unpressured in this entire game, so getting a kill on the Shadow Fiend will give them quite a bit of cash, and Oh, Ditchy-Ra is going to get glimpsed back. Not into the best position to kill him off. He's going to go up to the high ground, channel the ultimate. Mostly just to force everyone back. He's going to turn around and man fight, killing off the Zeus with one more raise, and then a couple more hits. That's going to kill off the Disruptor. Now with the IO coming in, they're also going to go for the Venge. So much damage is being pumped out from the Shadow Fiend. One more raise. That's a double kill. The gank just became the ganker. And Ditchy-Ra is going to collect huge off of that. That is not how it was supposed to go for Fab 5.
But when there's a Wisp and a Dazzle, all it takes is a relocate and a TP, and suddenly the fight turns completely. And Shadow Fiend is one of those heroes that can do a scary amount of damage in a second and a half at most. I mean, the level of damage there was absolutely insane. And Ditchy-Ra is just continuing to dominate this game in terms of farm. I mean, look at this. He's up at 75 last hits. He's going to possibly get another kill here as Villic TP's in, most likely to his death. With his right click coming in, well, Ditchy-Ra will collect another. This is one hell of a performance from him so far. Thunder Gods is going to fly, not going to bring down anyone. Oh, it does get the puck in the end, but still, it's very effective here for the Shadow Fiend, and he's just continuing to gain more and more presence. He's up at, what, 2.2k gold. Where do you go? Do you go for the Blink Dagger build, the old school style of Shadow Fiend, or do you look for the BKB?
I think this game you are probably going to get a little bit more value off of the BKB, mostly because you're working with an Undying. That's a hero that generally works on a timer, and that means that you're going to be very powerful very early. So BKB is going to let you actually abuse that early game power that you have. Either way, he is still dumping out a huge amount of damage, and I would expect this much damage if Power Rangers had like a medallion at this point, or if the Weave was actually hitting the enemies, something like that, but that's not even happening. It's just the Shadow Fiend, just his build. He's gone for a very stat-heavy build, so he's hitting like an absolute truck right now, and man, if you give him a double damage rune or something, then everyone's going to be dying in a matter of seconds. But regardless of what build he's going to go for, he is powerful enough just to tank these towers and bring them down. The top one's very weak, but I think Power Rangers, if they really want to go for the tier 2, they can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, they can start to force these towers and fights very, very effectively now, especially with Cheshire Cat here. I mean, 0 points up in Soul Rip, sure, but level 3 Tombstone. This is going to do some work. He's also got, of course, Max Decay, which is a slightly odd variant on the usual build for an Undying. Normally we'll see many points in Tombstone and 1, possibly 2 points in Soul Rip. But this many points in Decay means he can just spam on a 4-second cooldown if he has the mana to back it up. And they do have no mana boots available right now, which surprises me.
So maybe they should consider grabbing one of those before they go for one of these slow sieges. I actually like the Decay over Tombstone here, just because they are up against the Bristleback. And Tombstone, yeah, it's certainly a distraction, and it's very threatening, but as far as actually doing things, it's not going to be as high in this game as in others. So, well, Cheshire Cat's going to start things off by getting glimpsed back. Instantly to the flesh form he goes. The Tombstone is down, and they land a nice 3-man coil onto a whole bunch of heroes. Now the Razor is going to start flowing. That's going to be the death of the Bristleback. Now into Tib. He's stunned up by the Poison Touch, I believe. Turning around for the Sunder. Will get Cheshire Cat, but he won't even kill him off. Actually, he will. The Thunder God's Wrath helping out. It will get one kill. They're all very weak on the Power Rangers side. Ivs is going to try to jump in and get one more kill, but he's actually just going to walk into his death. That's not the plan. Now they're going to go for Keck. The damage is so high. You can't teleport out from that one. And Power Rangers, they get initiated upon. And even though Thunder God's Wrath did a truckload of damage, even though they got sundered, they still come out ahead with a 1-for-4 plus a tier 2 tower.
Yeah, that was just a dominating performance there. And there's very little that Fab 5 could have done to really stop that. I mean, in that kind of scenario, you really want a refresher on your Zeus, but it's just too early in the game. It's just, he just doesn't have the required gold either. It's just impossible really to bring down this lineup, especially considering I see a headdress, a mech coming up onto Cheshire Cat. I don't see the pipe that I was looking for yet, but honestly, a Undying like this is just going to be pure utility, so I'm expecting mech and pipe on the same target. Hell, maybe even a Crimson, as I said earlier. But the Crimson at this point would not be necessary in the slightest. Who does physical damage? The Bristleback, who dies. The Terrorblade, who can't survive for more than 5 seconds in a fight versus the entire 5. It's an unpleasant scenario for Fab 5 to be in. It really is.
Their goal right now should be just keep Zeus alive and try to just use those bolts and the static field charges just to slowly bring down Power Rangers. Outside of that, I mean, they can't really afford to stand up against Ditchy-Ra. If you drop a Tombstone right next to the Shadow Fiend, then he will be under almost complete protection, like almost invulnerability at that stage, except for, you know, ranged casting and stuff like that. So now with an Aegis on the Shadow Fiend, he spent some of his 5,000 gold. Looks like it's going to be an Eye of Scotty build for Ditchy-Ra. I mean, I can't really blame him for going for this build because it's 15 minutes and you have an Eye of Scotty with drums, so, you know, it kind of just fell into his lap, but usually not the item that we see on Shadow Fiends until a lot later. It is very mixed defense, and you do need, I guess, mixed defense, or would like mixed defense against a Zeus and a Bristleback Terrorblade.
He's going to have all the stats in the world, though. He is going to A, hit like a truck, B, have a huge mana pool, and C, have a huge health pool. This is probably one of the better item choices to go for here. All around, just dominance. Look at that, 1800 health at 15 minutes on a Shadow Fiend. This is a hero that usually at this point I would expect him to have maybe 1100 maximum, if over 1000.
Yeah, the health, and you have the armor from your teammates with Mech and Weave helping out. Not to mention Sneeko's added survivability with bottling through the tether and everything like that. Tishiraz just going to stand his ground. He really is not going to fear that much. Maybe a swap in is going to start this fight onto him, but it's actually going to be Villic to get caught with that Eye of Scotty. The slow is really intense. Tichiraj dropping pretty low, however. He has an Aegis. He doesn't really care about whether he lives or dies right now. He's going to go straight for the disruptor, get that kill. Now caught in the kinetic field, so he can't get it anymore. It's going to be Treasure Cat to fall back after zoning out a whole bunch of heroes, killing off the Bristleback with one more decay, and the puck is deep inside the Fab 5 base. There's only Zeus and Terrorblade left standing, and well, Power Rangers, they haven't lost anyone. They have a couple of drum charges. Don't think they have 2 more drum charges, so they're going to get Raw back up to full, and Fab 5 used everything that they had against that Shadow Fiend, and he didn't even use the Aegis, and now he's back at full HP. The push is not going to stop for anyone. Fab 5, I guess, fortunately for them, being low level, has short respawn timers, but they're going to need a whole bunch more heroes if they want to deal with the Shadow Fiend once, let alone twice.
Yeah, and he's just going to continue to throw all of this damage. He may be falling now, but again, still has that Aegis. Doesn't really care, and he can still just chip away on these buildings. This is what I would have normally said is a slow siege, but with Tira having this level of farm, this is absolutely insane. And Villic just cannot stand. This is a Bristleback dying in about 5 hits. Now in comes Slashflow's puck, looking to do some good damage. Gets an orb across 3, but we're not finding any more pickoffs yet. That's the key word, yet. I'm just waiting for someone to step just a half centimeter too far forward. Then this entire fight could also turn on a head once more, and we could be looking at kills left, right, and center. But with the racks falling, let's look at this. Fab 5 at 16 minutes are just so passive. They cannot risk engaging. As I say, cannot risk engaging. They get engaged on, down goes the Vengeful Spirit once more, and he's just not having a good game.
I didn't really see that one happen, so Stacho putting out some serious burst damage onto the Venge, and Fab 5, I mean, they haven't done anything to defend their racks as Power Rangers. The only thing stopping them right now is the fact that they're not tanky enough to go for another set, so it's going to be a 17-minute GG. It wasn't the all-in plan that I really expected, but there's a 605 Shadow Fiend on the board. He just would not die. Like, they were throwing everything they had. Bolts, Arc Lightnings, Disruptor Lightning, every single form of lightning that they could possibly muster in this game, and he just wouldn't go down. He was surfing at like 100 HP, then he got double mech'd because of the tether. Man, that was just a brutal game from the Power Rangers, and well, hopefully for Fab 5 they'll be able to bring it back in game number 2, because this is a best of 3, guys. So Power Rangers now up 1-0 in the series. I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by Blackadder, and we'll be right back for game number 2.